What's up guys, UFC 241, Nate Diaz takes on Anthony Pettis in the co-main event of the evening. Wow, ladies and gentlemen, we've got an amazing fight. This is going to be a dog fight and you definitely don't want to miss this out. Plus what a main card with Yoel Romero versus Paulo Costa, which is an unbelievable fight. That's going to be fireworks. And then a rematch between DC and Miocic, which should also be very exciting. So make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel as I'll be breaking these fights down as well. Now, Nate Diaz and Anthony Pettis. Not gonna lie, this is the fight I'm looking forward to the most. This one's gonna be a straight up war, as both the fighters come to fight and entertain and are never involved in a boring fight. I'll break this fight down by the strengths of both the fighters, the strategies they could be employing, what they need to do in order to win, and finally, give my prediction of the fight. Now, in terms of the skill set that both the fighters possess, Nate Diaz, as we all know, is a volume striker who likes to throw a lot of different, mainly boxing combinations and relies on his insane cardio to pressure his opponents and put a pace on them that they just can't keep up with. He's a slow starter though, so it takes a few minutes before Diaz gets a sense of timing on his opponent, from where he begins to just start letting his hands loose and throwing his large volume of punches. Diaz also has legit submission skills, and he's a real threat on the ground with his high-level jiu-jitsu. Plus, Diaz is as durable as they come. I mean, this man can take a punch. He's got a rock chin and can absorb shots very well and keep coming forward, throwing crazy volume of punches, which pretty much messes up with his opponents. Now, Diaz will be looking to pressure Pettis from round 1 by running him down and throwing a high volume of punches, similar to how Ferguson fought Pettis. We know Nate Diaz is a slow starter, and this is something that he himself said in his post-fight interview after beating McGregor. But as this is only a 3-round fight, Diaz can't really afford to take his time and pace himself. He's just going to have to engage and pressure Pettis from the get-go. By putting him on the back foot early on, Diaz will also restrict the volume of leg kicks thrown by Pettis, because it's much more difficult to throw leg kicks if you're being pushed back by your opponent, which we saw Tony Ferguson do very well against Pettis. Diaz also needs to push Pettis against the cage so he can trap him and suffocate him with his high volume of punches, similar to how he fought McGregor in round 3. And as this fight progresses, Diaz will improve his timing and is more likely to connect with Pettis, and that's where he'll begin to get more success. On the other hand, Pettis needs to restrict Nate's movement to stop that constant forward pressure by attacking him with his leg kicks. At this point, there's pretty much a blueprint in place to beat Nate Diaz by attacking that front leg with kicks to restrict his movement, as Nate tends to be heavy on his front leg because of his boxing stance. We have seen this strategy being implemented by RDA, McGregor in the rematch, and by others who have fought Diaz before, and it has been very effective. Pettis also needs to make sure that Nate Diaz doesn't get any momentum through the fight, as it will be very difficult to stop him, which a lot of fighters find out when they use up all their energy trying to finish Diaz and then end up shooting for a takedown because now they just can't keep up with him, and then they just end up getting submitted. To disrupt Nate's pressure, Pettis needs to mix in some takedowns. Now, I know you're going to be saying, well, Diaz has high-level jiu-jitsu skills, but Pettis is not looking to submit Diaz, rather he's looking to just control him on the ground and break his rhythm, similar to how GSP does things. Nate Diaz is very difficult to stop once he gets his timing, and that timing combined with the high volume of strikes means that Diaz can be a pain to deal with. Again, this is very easy for me to say as I'm sat here recording this video, but this is only my opinion and I don't consider myself to be an expert. This is merely for fun and speculation. But that's the reason why I think Pettis needs to take Diaz down to disrupt his rhythm and stop him from getting any kind of momentum. Of course, Pettis will have to be careful of Diaz's guard, but this has been done before by RDA and Benson Henderson, where they took Diaz down and controlled him on the ground and completely put a stop to his striking and jiu-jitsu. I can't stress this enough, as Pettis may struggle if Diaz picks up the pace and gets a good sense of his timing. He'll be teeing off all day on Pettis and will run away with the fight. So Pettis, along with those leg kicks, needs to mix it up with an odd takedown here and there to keep Diaz guessing and interrupt his rhythm, especially as it's only a 3-round fight. Now, as for predictions, this fight will really depend on which fighter can impose their will and game plan first. An important factor to consider is that this is only a 3-round fight, therefore both the fighters will have to start strong. This is a really difficult fight to predict, but I think if this fight ends up only being a stand-up fight, I believe Nate Diaz will have the edge and can win. Diaz's pressure, superior boxing and high volume will be exhausting for Pettis and may lead to a decision win for Nate Diaz. However, if Pettis is able to mix in takedowns along with his leg kicks, I think he can really get a decision win. I mean, we can hypothetically give the first round to Pettis, as Diaz is a slower starter, but if Pettis is able to execute a few takedowns in the second round and stop Diaz from marching forward, then Pettis will be able to secure a majority decision. But this is a really big assumption, and we know Pettis loves to be in a war, and a fighter like Nate Diaz might just bring out the dog in him. And it may just end up being a slugfest in which I believe Diaz will have the slight edge. But please feel free to leave your predictions and thoughts on this fight below, and please like this video and subscribe to my channel. Peace.